Welcome to the live stream, everyone. This is BEBE Davis, publisher and founder of 1021 Magazine. Welcome to the channel. You are in a treat mode here. I'm treating you all. So this is a live chat with the live stream. That means that you can talk to me. You can express yourself while the feed is live. Once it is not live, then you can just view it. But we do have the chat options open for you to share your thoughts. I ask that you share your thoughts respectively, and everyone can agree to disagree, okay? Because that's what makes the world go around. But welcome to 1021 Magazine, one publisher and founder. We're celebrating 18 years, year 2020. Hope you're quarantining safe, masking up, and we're all in this together. So this evening, this is the Masterclass, and I call it the Masterclass. I wasn't going to call it that, but then looking at some of the responses for the title that you're seeing, where I'm focusing in, like others, on last night, epic night for Verzuz. It was Face Off with Brandy and Monica, both queens, okay? Queens in their own right. Different style artists. It was great getting that face off. But here's where I come in with an evening of a masterclass for everyone. When you're in media reporting, and many of us should know this, but we act like we don't because we go through that phase, many of us, where you've been in the game long, in the industry for media reporting, and you start to form relationships with people that you cover. It's just a natural thing. But it should never blind you where you don't be objective and be fair and balanced and unbiased and just, you know, like Monica was saying, be a straight shooter, okay? But many, I looked around, we did our facts and check, myself, the editors, 1021 Magazine, and we didn't see no one grasp or go there, and they went other places, and I was like, well, okay, let me do a master class. Some may not feel like it's a master class, but that's okay, and that's all right, because what? People make the world go around. Now, I am a keeper of the flame. I've been media reporting for over 20 years, and I've always stuck true to the nature of things. So, while I get myself together, you can settle on in, because this is going to be a nice live stream here. Now, I have some goodies. Okay, I did an Arby's run, and then I added in my own little mix. So I'm going to lift this up in prayer, and I mean that in the sincerest way, as a minister's granddaughter, okay? And because I don't want to drop this. I'm not the most steadiest of hands. But I did an Arby's run. I got the beautiful pastrami Reuben. Oh my God, so good. The horsey sauce. And then I got my sweet potato waffle fries. And then I did my beautiful turmeric curry mixture of rice and peas. And then I have on deck here for the wash down, to rinse it all down, is my beautiful family recipe sangria. So we're going to start the masterclass, and I'm going to give my POV take on the Verzuz battle of Brandy and Monica. Right off the bat, I'll just go ahead and say it. I picked a winner. And that's what you do in a Verzuz. And it went to Brandy. And we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about why I felt like many in the media reporting family missed that mark. So anyway, get your essentials. I have mine. It's going to be sip, eat, talk, do some laughter, keep it real cool. And that was a win for the culture of music, of artists, supporting artists. Not only is my background in media reporting, historian, all that, I've covered, interviewed celebrities and well-known figures and exclusives and stuff like that. I'm also a musician since the age of 6, reading music, music theory, flutist, flautist, playing professionally, gigging since 7. So I know that end of it too, in how you should conduct yourself. And I mean, you know, just what it is. There was a lot of misconduct, and it did come from both sides. But anyway, we're going to get into this, and we're going to chill out. So I'm going to put on some really cool music. So thanks for locking in. Welcome to the live stream. I'm BB Davis. I'm going to be eating and grubbing and sipping, and I hope that you do the same too. Epic night. But wait, before we do any of that, got to show love. My turtle side of the family is from South Carolina, Carolina South, Palmetto State. I love to call it the Diamond State. You see the shape, you know what it is. So we send love and light to the family and all who mourn Sir Chadwick Boseman, okay? South Carolina, native son. Flags went half staff in the metro, in the capital, and that was so cool. And, you know, it's an epic loss, but I am one of those people that look at life and look at everything half full, not half empty. And people's purpose on life, in human nature, we'd be like this, we'd be like that. But none of us are not guaranteed longevity in life. But if you do, it's a blessing, grace and mercy. Okay, that's how I was blessed up and taught and reared. But the most important thing, he didn't want the pity. Very private. He came, he saw, he conquered. It is not how long you live, but what you do with the time that you have. So rest in peace, rest in love, rest in power to Sir Chadwick Boseman. And we're going to do a moment of silence here. Amen. All right, let's get into a little groove, shall we? Welcome to the live stream. That's a groove. Alright, that was dope, okay? So, welcome to the live stream. I wanted to start off with something very important when it comes to media reporting that struck me way back when. And also being in the company of other publishers before I became a publisher. And just studying the best, getting a a meeting of the minds with some of the best, and many of them said yes. I was so blessed for that. Whether it was through a phone call or an actual meeting of flying there to many people who I admired to do the things that they did and what I wanted to do and be around wisdom. I could sit here for hours discussing that, but those master classes will come. But here's something very important. Kurt Loder, journalists, those who are about that life, our life, media reporting, you know who Kurt Loder is, okay? And this is what really struck me, and I carry it as a mantra through everything in the industry when dealing with people. So you could be objective in the right way and not in the wrong way. It's not good to be friends with people you're covering. There's just no point in doing it. It's tempting. But they're not going to consider you their friend anyway. They just know that you're somebody that can do something for them. Now, could this be necessarily true? In most cases, it is. In most cases, it absolutely is. And then through time, you may develop some type of kinship with people that you're covering and admiring. But still, you are supposed to be objective. Because that is your love, your passion, your purpose-driven life. Is it not? And when it isn't, then I don't know what you're in it for. You know what you're in it for. But I'm talking to those with a passion. So I'm going to read that again. It's not a good thing to be friends with people you're covering. There's just no point in doing it. It's tempting, but they're not going to consider you their friend anyway. They just know that you're somebody that can do something for them. Now, you do have the exceptions, okay? Where there are people in the industry that you have grown close to and you develop relationships, and it does happen. But they should respect what you have to do when it comes down to it, and the same. Okay? Take no shorts. So that is my philosophy, and I stick to it. I think it's great for any upcoming serious journalists or just those who take their stuff seriously but not quite want to go there and be in that media reporting journalist, and you know, you just do it for the fun of it. But do it whereas you're going to echo that it's fair and it's balanced, okay? So now that I got that out the way, let's talk about this Verzuz. And for me, why I picked Brandy. So we're going to get into some more great music here because this is the chill zone, and I'm going to be eating and I'm going to be sipping. But I hope that that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. When you start playing those favorites and that kind of thing, then, you know, you really lose perspective and you lose really self-respect for your own self because, you know, you're just kind of like twisting in the wind. Look at everything objectively. Now, before I put on the music, let me just set the tone here for this master vibe. A Verzuz battles have always been head-to-head, face-to-face. So there is no winner. That's what it's for, right? A battle. A Verzuz. Who reigns supreme in that moment. That doesn't mean that you're not a queen and that you're not bad and that you should not be respected. But in that moment, how did you conduct yourself? How did you conduct yourself? How did you conduct the battle? Did you come armed up? Or were you winging it? Some people can bring out the win, bring out the W by just winging it. Takes a special skill for that. Okay? Like an anointed special skill. Others need a lot more preparation. Sometimes it's good to have a mixture of both. But in a battle, there can only be one. That's why you call it a Verzuz. This isn't and Brandy and Monica. It was Brandy versus Monica. Monica versus Brandy. That's a Verzuz. That's like a head-to-head. Okay, so there can only be one person that comes out of that moment. Want to do another moment? Do another moment. You know? But in that moment, and I think a lot of people lost sight of that when they was like, oh, this is not a competition. It's not a competition like that, but in Verzuz it is. You're competing for the spot to who wins the Verzuz, the head-to-head, the matchup. And when I looked at everything and my perspective, yeah, it would be great to say, oh, they both killed it. That wasn't the case. And it is your right if you say that Monica killed it. It's your right if you say that Brandy killed it. It's your right if you wanted to say whatever. But from a journalistic point of view, a lot of us in media reporting who I thought kept it 100, they didn't. They just like, they went right with everyone else. A Verzuz is only one. That's why when you have like some of the epic battles in hip hop or anything like that, it wasn't like, oh yeah, they did. It was like at that moment, who reigns supreme in the moment. And if you take it out of that, then you could easily say, oh, well, they did great. Because they both did great. Nobody's not saying that when I picked who I thought reigned supreme in a Verzuz. That's why it's called Verzuz. It was Brandy. And so let's get into why, because I'm ready to eat my Reuben and just chill. So here we go. Let's get into some of this groove. I gotta have a bite first. Oh, so good. Oh. Okay, we're going to take this track back a little bit here, and we're going to lower it. Okay. I love a backstory, because that's just a journalist in me. The live stream after the Verzuz was with Swizz, Beats, and Timberlake. And I love a backstory. They were like, this was not an easy, cohesive moment to get these queens together, Brandy and Monica. No shock there. But the way they catapulted that conversation, there was a no in that camp, a yes in that camp. They in a yes in that camp, a no in that camp until they got them together. They didn't go into the specifics of it. But if you go and watch that right here on YouTube, you will see that there were some moments. So however they did that, big ups to them and round of applause because they made it happen. We've heard the tension over the years, and that tension was evident. Evident as ever. Evident as ever. Evident as ever. Okay. Walking in, okay. They haven't seen each other in a minute, so we saw that that was made clear as clear could be. Monica was more of the aggressor and more tense, you know, and she wanted to, let me get this out of the way. But even on her promos, you know, her lines on them were just like, you know, I don't play and all that. So she was coming in very aggressive. She was living up to the moniker of Miss Thing. The body language, everything. On Brandy's end, it was a lot more carefree and airy. That's not why she won. Okay? Because anybody could throw on a game face. And there's nothing wrong with throwing on your game face, because that makes you a lot more fluid in various circles, in various moments where you can rise to your occasion, or you can just kind of stay flat and predictable. It was very predictable that Monica would be in that mode, and I was so hoping that her team would have said, we're going to play this totally different. Not where you're going out of your zone, but sometimes keeping it real and you're keeping it real, whatever your keeping it real is, can be a detriment to you. And without a doubt, looking around at the comments myself and 1021 editors and interns, you know, we had different mind vibes of everyone vibing. You know, everybody was just saying the vibe was off, you know, with Monica, and it was kind of aggressive, you know. So, ladies taking their seats, you know, Monica was like, I'm going to let you go first, Southern Hospitality. Brandy did jump the gun of saying, you know, Southern, you know, I'm from the SIP, okay, Mississippi. So, it was at that moment where you could tell that both were on their game of, that wall is going to be right up, I'm going to be right there. You know, the preparedness because of the climatic vibe of them in the moment anyway. That sounds so good right there, doesn't it? I'm going to have you grooving with me on this master class moment of the verses, okay? So, come on. All right. So, when Monica started on kicking the door and, you know, smacking chicks and all that other stuff, it's just like, then, you know, Brandy was like, well, I was, and then she was like, what you talking about? You know, we had already heard, it was already confirmed of a type of altercation, which everybody want to kind of keep in supposed realms. Or did that happen? Did that not happen? Can we get a full confirmation on it? Well, we pretty much got the scenario right then, and then it was like back off. But then, you know, everybody was on their wall up moment, you know, at that moment. And it wasn't shocking. Yeah, okay, hotline, I'm from the South, but hey, I'm from the SIP. That's South, you know. So there was that moment of, right there. So I felt like that was unneeded and uncalled for. And the reason why I say that is because most chicas who are about that life, who are unbothered, but when they got to go into mode, that is nothing to brag about kicking and doing slapping up a chick, no matter what the circumstances call for, because even if it was where it was warranted, I mean, still that's something to brag on. because that's the moment where you're being out of your element, unless that is your element. You get it? So I'm saying Masterclass In Session. Now, that's nothing to brag on. And then, some of us who are on the echelons of cano, what's cano? Canatonic. Like when you blank canatonic, you don't remember the door or possibly slapping the chick up because you went cano. Straight canotonic. We're gonna try and play that little groove again because that was pretty dope right there. So if you're part of the Cano Girls, Cano Club, canatonic means you just totally blank. Okay, you went straight. No in between or anything. And you put in work. And that work can be very consequential when you're a Cano. But if you're just one of those, I kick in the door and slap up, I mean, you know, you must have run up on somebody in canatonic. Because you wouldn't really remember all that. You would have went straight canatonic. Okay, so that was like real weak mode, especially to Cano girls. And I'll just throw this out here real quick without saying any names. Like, could we stop the music? We're live stream here, and I want quiet on the set. Poof, be gone. Respect the mantra, okay? Quiet on the set, drop it. Okay, see, that's masterclass too. Even though we're in more relaxed mode, you know what I mean? You know, I like things quiet on my set, even if we're in relaxed mode, we're not in the studio. So I hope I don't have to say that again, right? Because I'm full live stream here with people, okay? So can you cut it out? All right. Damn, I hate that I had to do that after all this time, you know what I mean? But the example of Cano, most people who are Cano, they are nice. A lot of them, you know, they don't go cause trouble, not in a lot of trouble, because they know that Cano effect is like blank and everything just starts to disrupt, boom, bah, you know what I mean? So this girl is doing too much. I'm talking about the Cano Club. I'm not talking about Monica's Club, because Monica's isn't a Cano girl. In my perspective, and a lot of us who are canatonics. The girl just kind of kept jarring. She was like, okay, are you joking right now? Just stop. And the girl kept going on with the B word. And she was like, hey, that's enough. All right. And then the girl said the B word again. And then it was lights out. Next thing you know, her body was being made into a mold into the wall. And then pulled her out and just went jarring in her head. Whereas she should have been gone from this world. It was so horrific how the canatonic went that these big guys didn't even want to step in. It was malicious. And then at the time they had the nerve to say, hey B, get your girl. I was like, she's Cano. She don't see me. I would have to go in and take some licks and give some just to reach her. Because she was already gone. And that young lady who kept saying the B word, she suffered badly. So that's Cano. And why I say all that, that is nothing to be proud of. Because most Cano girls, after you have done damage like that, you have the morality that ain't nothing cute about that. There's nothing cute about that. Beating down a sister or anybody, but you know what I mean, beat down a sister, there's nothing cute about that, whether she had to deserve it or not. But that's canatonic women. Because you blank out so much, it's almost near death what that person is getting, and it was horrific. But praise God, the girl didn't die. So, you know, when you're a catatonic person like that, those are the ones who are really about that life. But then you know that you don't want to push yourself that way or have someone push that button like that. So you usually have a more chilled life because you don't feel good with that side of you either. Most times, it always has to be a witness to tell you what you did, because catatonic, you didn't catatonic out, that you have to tell that person. So with Monica bringing that into the verses, I just thought that was just so classless, and like, you know, you're a mother, grown woman. You don't have to say you're about that life when you're about that life. So she doesn't fall into the catatonic clique. She just falls into that clique like just, you know, what it is. And I just thought that that was just like, you know, is this a little bit of like an intimidation type vibe here? Let's get to the verses. So I didn't think that she was well polished on that, but that's not why I gave the L. But you're right, in battle mode. So it started to seep into the verses. Because once you're in the verses and your place lists and everything start going head to head, and you start coming with different things, then that's your moment of the verses. And you start to weak link yourself. Okay? So that was a weak moment. I didn't mean to drag that out, but I was just like, when Cano girls, catatonic men too, those people that just blank and things get shook bad. Not these people who throw drinks in your face or shaking the table or, you know, kicking the door fo, and, you know, because catatonic people don't want to talk too much about how they're catatonic like that. But, you know, I just thought that was just a major thumbs down move for Monica. Now, getting into the battle, also, you know, you had everybody, epic moment, lots of people in there, First Lady, you had St. Records, and let me get this out the way real quick. Okay, a lot of people kept looking for Solange, they kept looking for Beyonce to show up in the feed, but when we saw, me and my crew, for the Versus party in quarantine, when we saw Satan Records pull up, I was like, that's where Solange and Beyonce is, okay? That's what they are. They're on Satan Records. And that was, I mean, that's just what I feel. I can't confirm it, but I feel like they both were there under Satan Records. And that was cool if it was, because that means Beyonce didn't want to come in under Beyonce, because people would have lost their mind. It was already losing their mind with the First Lady in there, and so many other epic people, Babyface, Jimmy, Jam and Lewis. Oh my God, it was just so many people in the epic. Okay, that was in for this epic verses. So when I saw State Records, I was like, there you go, there's Solange and Beyonce in this room here. Okay, because like if they came in under Solange and under Beyonce, then people would have been trying to talk to them, whatever, and the focus they wanted to give to the queens, Brandy and Monica. All right, so Brandy was very more showman-like, showwomanship than Monica. And a lot of people's like fake or bad. That's just a Scorpio, how Monica is, and reserve and everything. And look, wait a minute, hold up, back up, stop. I'm a Pisces, sun sign, water signs. We're fluid. Now, out of the three, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces can throw on the game face, can throw on the showman-like conduct and all of that, the mask. All of the water signs should easily be able to turn that on. And even with Scorpio, you know, the illusions. Pisces has more of the illusions and the mystery type vibe, but Cancer and Scorpio most certainly can. And we're more fluid. But to say that Brandy as an Aquarius, they're fixed. Okay? And you can't tell me nothing about no Aquarius is, because I know Aquarius is my grandmother, my cousins. We got Aquarius all up and down. Fixed. But when you are the master at your craft, it's showtime. It is showtime. The show must go on. It's the game face. And you do that. But that is not what Monica did. And I feel like that has been such a big detriment there, especially in the verses. You know, where you're supposed to be in battle here. So then everything, once those songs drop, will show whether or not you won or you not. And this is just my perspective trying to break it down here in the masterclass. All right, so even with her own songs, she was just kind of like whatever. I was just like, oh, she's not as fluid, just very fixed. So then she was just very guarded. And I was just like, okay, but Brandy is carefree or whatever. Brandy could have been inside, straight up guarded. I feel like she could have. Because her team and why Brandy is so much more wide, broader scape beyond the music is because the finesse game of the industry, the package deal is just right there. And she displayed it. You know, you're supposed to be having fun, enjoying yourself. Look at the other verses, especially like with John Legend and Alicia Keys. I mean, they were just straight vibing. And I mean, like, I expected some more vibing from Monica on her jams. You know, I love both of them. I always got their music, supported, rocked it, everything. I just expected more vibe and forget all this Miss Thing type thing. It was just like, that was your moment, because she was not consistent these past few years more than Brandy in the music. And so now they're both independent. There's still the cachet to pick up out there. And this was a big moment. There's some cachet. It could have been some second looks for endorsers and everything. Don't bring the stank face up in there. Bring the show must go on with the show. So I felt like once the songs drop and you're in that battle, once again, I don't want to sound like a recorder, but I mean, that's when the strengths and weaknesses start to play there. Okay? And she just played right into this whole thing of shade. Not that Brandy didn't have her shade as well, but Brandy came a lot more prepared when she put out that journal, okay, and started speaking of the names of people that was lost and just these spoken words and stuff like that. I was just like, wow, boom, bringing something interesting, the spoken wordness. Lorenz Tate was in the chat room and he was like, brother to the night, I approve that. And I was doing my little chatting thing. It was great. That was a good moment that Monica did with Chadwick. Okay, great. Then you're back to the music. Okay, well, when Monica started talking, and I thought it was great. People was like, oh, this was a snore fest, snore. No, I loved the vibe. I just felt like they could have been a little hype with it, because every time their songs dropped, everybody in my crew and like all over and the comments, everything, everybody was getting their life. And it was wonderful, okay? Boom, boom, boom. But then, you know, Brandy dropped some gems, as she should, you know, because if you want to talk about this person was on the track, you know, Monica had her features, you're still in versus mode now. Once the song drops, everything that you do and your nuances is what is a part of that battle. What is your swag? What is your suave? What is your flow? Okay? Well, when Monica did her thing about who was on her record and all that stuff, and then Brandy did hers, and Brandy dropped the epicness of saying, well, check it out, you know? History behind the music. That's what a lot of people were getting. Those people who wasn't feeling it, I understand. I feel like if they had grooved more, like if Monica had gotten in the groove more, a lot more, you know, and like Brandy, and just kept matching each other so cool, or match enough, then some people wouldn't think it was a snore fest when it got down to the behind the music and the backstories. You know, that's a good thing, you know, because you have some aspiring up and comers who dig both of these chicas, and it's good to hear that backstory. Okay, so when Brandy dropped that, Biggie and Pac did a verse on her, that was like boom. Okay, she had that arsenal right there. So it was like ding, 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 ding. And then Monica, her jams was coming. Missy Elliott was in there cheering them on. They showed love. Brandy really set the tone though with that behind the music and talking about what this person she was giving love to who did what on her music. Then Monica flowed very smooth into it. So it wasn't like Monica was like, okay, well, that's where she's going. This is where we going. And I love that. That was spot on and giving compliments to each other. But of course, we did see some of those shade vibes. Now, when the music drops, when your set drops, you're in the zone. You're in the battle. Well, here's where Monica started to drop down. When Brandy put on that music where she was a part of Missing You for the Wait and Exhale soundtrack, then Monica should have never went there, and she was just like, I didn't get that call, I didn't get that call. Down, down, down. Oh no, you can do that on some other time. And so Babyface, he was a part of that selection, and so he interjected, we unquote, we would have called, we should have called on that, and it just went down. I was like, oh my God, no. No. So then that's a little bit of resentment there. It was so, get back on your game, girl. Never, ever. I would have probably had a heart attack. Straight up. I would have, if I was in Monica's camp. I would be like, oh, no, no. So now you're back. She's down, in my point with that. Because why? That's over and done with. Didn't you have Space Jam or whatever? You're not going to hear Brandy say, I should have been picked for Space Jam. No. See? Oh, all right. So then, moving on into, I'm just giving my point of view and the masterclass as to how I went and looked at things. You're in the battle there. Why are you just staying on that? Okay. Then, the next one that kind of like, oh no, Monica, when she was like, playing those epic duets of her and Usher. Oh my God. Epic. And should have just left it at that. You don't sometimes let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. That's a Southern slang if we want to start talking about Southern. Okay? And then she just gave the tea that I would have never spilled. And I don't think a lot of others would have ever spilled too. So now there's more questions out there. When the music drops, everything that you're doing is a part of that battle. Just like how they do in the Olympics when you are figure skating, and if you miss that one mark, it starts to go down. The verses. When she said Usher declined to do a duet on the latest album, she just knockout. What? So now are you putting him in a corner to explain that? Or that doesn't make him look in a good light. Y'all got these epic duets. Nobody needed to know that. So you're in this battle, the music drops. Alright, so then Sideline Ho. That's the name of the song. Play your song. It's a jam. It's a bop. Brandy was like, oh. Brandy knew though, that was some shade, that was a song. This is grown folks versus. Your daughter is of age. She's heard of who I would think. But after Monica wrapped up the bop, then it seems like it got personal, not toward Brandy. This might be somebody else I might be reaching, but say ho, ho, ho. Oh, no. Then Brandy was like, oh. Now Brandy did pull a diva move saying, apologize to my daughter, and that was a bold move. But Monica could have said, I'm not apologizing to your daughter. But she did, so that moved her up a little bit, but she was still way low then. Because why are you keeping on with that word, ho, ho, ho? What's going on? And your children know you. Regardless. Like, I'm not even going to say such and such wouldn't do that. But like, why would you want to just do that? Elevation, grown woman, wisdom, like tactless. Okay, and so looking at the hits with each other, both major jams. But a lot of people talk about they did their win and their losses for whoever they picked based on Billboard charting. Billboard charting has nothing to do on a versus. You're not going to say that when you got hip hop greats going together on a versus or a battle or anything like that. That has nothing to do with what's going on at that moment. It's at that moment how you conduct yourself when that music drops and that elevation and the hype and all that, putting the songs together. But you got to put more than just the song together. You got to get the hype with your own song. And it did seem like it was more of a push to push her new music in with her old stuff, because both are independent, and it seems like Monica was pushing more of that stuff and everything like that, and Brandy wasn't pushing as much, because Brandy has the hits on hits on hits. Brandy could have went even and dropped the T.I. duet from the Aphrodisiac album, since she was coming into the city of Atlanta, Monica City, and then a lot of people would have been like, ooh, that would have been a diss, but that was a true bop right there with her and T.I. I probably would have dropped that one for, let me drop this right here. This is not in the set, but one time for me and T.I. Brandy could have been all kinds of shady with that, because that was a bop for real. I love that. So shout out to T.I. and Brandy on that. That was a bop for real. And Brandy had other arsenals, but she did bring it with the He Is and Teddy Riley joint. When You Touch Me. I mean, let's look at this playlist here. And then when we talk about age 12, a lot of people did not know that Monica did start at 12, but we want to give a historical musical shout out here since we're in the masterclass before I wrap this up. And we're talking none other than Stacey Lattisaw. The great Stacey Lattisaw was the age 12, so she was the first to do it. It wasn't Monica. And I would thought that the ladies, if they were showing love, that they would have showed some love to others who have done their thing. But absolutely, we're going to do it right here on 1021 Magazine. Stacey Lattisaw Jackson, born November 25th, 1966. Out the gate, age 12, Love on a Two-Way Street, Dynamite, Let Me Be Your Angel. She was led under the direction of a very successful career for that age, and she was knocking it out the park. When she got with Narada Michael Walden on Cotillion Records, and then Michael Jackson was feeling that, I mean, it was straight. She was the go-to. Attack of the Name Game and all that other stuff. So the first to ever do it, like young and powerful, on the scene, on the set, and all of that, we give it up to Stacey Lattisaw. And then for the duets, you know what it is. Johnny Gill and Stacey Lattisaw, perfect combination, y'all. And then they did other duets after that as well. So the 12-year-old with a monstrous, beautiful voice and a very mosaic flow, Stacey Lattisaw, and we give it up. And we also give it up, also, again, yeah, Monica, age 12, we give that up too. We have other young ones on the set too, Shanice Wilson and all that. So I definitely, for the age 12, had to come there. I didn't see anybody else say anything, even though that wasn't part of the verses, but that's Historia, Stacey Lattisaw. So y'all go look up her discography and everything, because she was killing it. There was no one but her. She didn't have no competition. It was just boom, boom, boom. And it was just great. Okay. All right. So then let's go take a look at the set list here of Brandy and Monica. It was really great. And I love that a lot of the writers and songwriters and those who had something to do with their discographies were there, and others who weren't. It was just a family affair. It was beautiful. But when that music drops and everything, and you don't go hard enough for your jam, or you start bringing in stuff that is just so making you look salty, and you're throwing the wheat mode instead of keeping the focus and all of that. And then a lot of people, people waiting for you both to do the Boy Is Mine, and I just felt like it could have been more. And at the end of it, looking at everything scope to scope with the verses, and in verses it only can be one, and it is good for the culture. It's good for the queens if they want to do another one. But I think the consensus more than anything else, overall scope and not just in a certain vibe, would agree that Brandy had the win. It started out with What About Us, which was a knock with Brandy. With Monica, Everything to Me. Love it. And then He Is. Oh my God, that's the jam. Brandy. And then A Dozen Roses. Okay. Monica. Then Full Moon by Brandy. You know that's a knock. So Gone. You know that's a knock, knock, knock. And then I Want to Be Down. Okay. Brandy. MC Light, Queen Latifah. That was epic. You know what it is. And then Don't Take It Personal. Monica. And then Baby. Brandy. And then Like This and Like That. Monica. Okay. And then Angel in Disguise. My Proper Jam. Brandy. You Should Have Known Better. Y'all know what it is. Monica. Missing You. Boom, boom, boom. Brandy. Tamia. Gladys Knight. Chaka. Woo. Okay. And then right after that, For You I Will. Rocking It. Monica. Almost Doesn't Count. Brandy. That's a bop. And then followed up with Monica. Why I Love You So Much. That was a nice one right there. Okay. And then Broken Hearted. Woo, woo. Brandy. I'm not going to be singing this. Nah. Love All Over Me. Monica. Anything to Find You. Okay. Monica, Rick Ross. And then Top of the World featuring Maze. That was a nice little back. Everybody's doing their Get Down in the chat room with Brandy and Maze. And then he has Still Standing. You know what it is. Monica and Ludacris. And then Borderline, Brandy. And then Commitment, Monica. And then Love Again. That was Brandy and Daniel Caesar. That was a new joint. Nice right there. And then, you know, Put It Down, Chris Brown, Brandy. And then you had The First Night, Monica. Who Is She to You? Okay. Brandy. Knock, Knock. Monica. Missy was having such a good time in there. Okay. Yeah. Timberland was having a good time. Ooh, everybody was just having a good time. I was having a good time. Did you have a good time? All right. And then Best Friend, Brandy. Sitting Up in My Room. Brandy. Every Time the Beat Drop. You know, Monica. ATL was there for Monica. You know what it is. All right. And then Franchise Boys. Talk About Our Love. Feature Kanye West. Okay. That was, whew, okay. Sideline Ho. Monica. Put That On Everything. Put That On Everything. Oh, didn't I say I was going to sing? But anyway. All right, Brandy. And then Trust, Keisha Cole, Monica, and When You Touch Me, Brandy. Okay, let's just give it up for that. Because Teddy Riley, Beast Mode, you know what it is. And then Just Right With Me, Lil Wayne, Monica, Lil Wayne. Have You Ever, Brandy. Angel of Mine, Monica. The Boy Is Mine, the closeout. The closeout could have been a lot more proper. But also, I do love what Brandy did at the end. Couldn't get Monica in to give it up, give that finale for the crowd. But when she hugged her and they walked out, she said, come on, girl, come on, girl. Right then, that catapulted Brandy, even with the arsenal of songs, because it is your je ne sais quoi right up in there with your battles. And I just feel like Monica missed a opportunity, and then there was that, I just didn't understand why, you know, they didn't pick me, I mean, it might have thought that was coming off kind of cute, but it just did not come off right at all. So anyway, I'm gonna play some more music here. I'm enjoying my beautiful Arby's, and I know that we are not doing that. I hope I don't get cut for that, because that is not what I was trying to play. Sometimes your hands can get a little slippery, so that was no shade at all there, playing that little clip real quick. But I'm going to enjoy my waffle fries. I'm going to enjoy my Reuben. But when you, as a reporter, Masterclass, and you get in on talking about looking at how they charted on a chart, that has nothing to do with the verses at hand. Just like somebody could sing real good in the studio, and when we get in the battle, you might not square up how you sound on record as the other person blowing you away. In the battle, you bring your A game. And in my opinion, even through the nice promo that she did, I feel like she would have aced it with the head-to-head, the vibe and aura and everything, if she just didn't do those touch and go things that were so weird. Babyface should not have to come in and say we would have picked you as a the consolation tone back to when you were saying they should have picked me, they should have picked me. And saying that ho 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 thing over and over is overkill. And saying Usher wouldn't do the duet. Why? I'm sure he was like, I damn sure ain't gonna do it now. It was good for the culture. It was good to see them come together. But I really feel like they should have came together a little bit better than this. And on your end, if you're being hyped and everything, like with Brandy, you can only try but so much. And I felt like she had the hardest part of it, trying to keep it chilled. And if, whether you think that Monica won that or not, it's hard. And some people say, well, Monica just wasn't feeling like that because she's not whatever. Listen, in this industry, a lot of times we may get on camera or we have to go somewhere, catch flights or do whatever, burn the midnight oil. But we have to do what we have to do. And that means ready, set, go. And you put on your face and you go. It's not called faking it. It's called that is your passion. And how do you want your real true self to be perceived and all that. But anyway, we have more of those type of masterclasses. I stand by my choice with that. And I think it was great for the culture. I cannot wait to see what else they pull through. So shout out to VERZUZ. And thank you so much, VERZUZ, for highlighting my comments under Cigar Saint Sister. Cigar Saint Sister, we'll be talking about this also in a more relaxed tone, even more when I do the cigar. And that will be on tomorrow. But what's up, everybody? Thanks so much for locking in. Stand by who you stand by. But I hope that a lot of people got some wisdom gems off of this. Because, you know, once the song drops, everything, your tone, your charisma, your everything, your gentle sequoia, your vibe, your groove, and all that should be on point. And keep it there as much as possible. And I think that what this showed is why there was a lot more onward, outward, endless possibilities, what it seems like for Brandy, for the different other things that she put her hands in with Cachet, why it was so successful. Because you got to put on that game straight. Hey, it's all right being down for your street, but you shouldn't have to prove that if your street, and your code and all of that. And like I said, with that whole kicking the door in four, most of us who are in the Canatonic Club, again, that's nothing that you want to brag on, because the biggest thing, you always want to be more than not your sister's keepers, no matter if they violate or not. And then if you have no other choice, even if you do shut it down on them, that's nothing to be bragging about, you know. Get your grown woman on. Anyway, I'm BB Davis. Thanks so much for locking in. And more to come. Peace and love, everybody. Great verses. Great verses, without a doubt. Peace and love.